A wealthy lawyer was riding in his limousine when he saw two men along the roadside eating grass. Disturbed, he ordered his driver to stop and he got out to investigate. He asked one man, "Why are you eating grass?" "We don't have any money for food," the poor man replied. "We have to eat grass." "Well then, you can come with me to my house and I'll feed you," the lawyer said. "But sir, I have a wife and 2 children with me. They are over there under that tree." "Bring them along," the lawyer replied. Turning to the other poor man, he stated, "You come with us too." The second man in a pitiful voice then said, "But sir, I also have a wife and 6 children with me." "Bring them all as well," the lawyer answered. They all entered the car, which was no easy task, even for a car as large as the limousine. Once underway, one of the poor fellows turned to the lawyer and said, "Sir, you are too kind. Thank you for taking all of us with you." The lawyer replied, "Glad to do it. You'll really love my place. The grass is almost a foot high." Sheila comes home early from work one day only to find her husband, Mark, in bed with a woman. Sheila says, "That's it. I'm leaving and never coming back." Mark says, "Don't you at least want to hear my explanation?" Sheila shrugs and says, "Fine, let's hear your story." Mark says, "I'm driving along the street when I see this young lady in torn clothes, no shoes, all muddy and crying. I took pity on her and asked if she would like to get cleaned up in my house. She climbed into my truck and I brought her home. She took a shower, I gave her the underwear that doesn't fit you anymore, the blouse I bought you 2 years ago that you never wore, the $150 Nike running shoes you bought but never used. I even gave her some of the roast beef you had in the fridge but didn't serve to me." I showed her to the door. She thanked me profusely. As she was about to leave, she turned around and asked me, "Is there anything else your wife doesn't use anymore?" A husband and wife who are avid golfers have been happily married for 30 years, and on the day of their 30th anniversary, they enjoy a wonderful day together. They have a delicious breakfast in bed, then proceed to one of their favorite golf courses. They play through to the 9th hole, both having an amazing game. The husband watches his beautiful wife tee off and feels a rush of emotion and guilt. "Honey, I have to tell you something. At the very beginning of our marriage, I was with another woman. It only happened once, and I've been faithful ever since. It was a mistake, and I hope you can forgive me." The wife looks fondly at him. "I forgive you. We've had a very happy life together. I love you." The husband is so relieved, feeling light as a feather. They play a few more holes in bliss when suddenly the wife turns to her husband. "Honey, I too have something to confess." The husband smiles and says, "Anything, dear. You were so gracious to me, and we can make it through anything." "Before we met, I had an operation. I used to be a man." The husband throws his club down and starts swearing and kicking up turf. The wife is in shock. "But I forgave you for your secret." The husband, red-faced, turns to her and says, all these years you've been teeing off from the ladies' tee box, you cheater!" There's a great actor who can no longer remember his lines, and when word gets out, no one will hire him. After many years, he finally finds a theater that is prepared to give him a chance to shine again. The director says, "This is the most important part, but it has only one line. You walk out on stage at the opening carrying a rose. You hold the rose to your nose with just one finger and thumb, sniff the rose deeply, and then say, 'Ah, the sweet aroma of my mistress.'" The actor is thrilled. All day long he practices his line over and over again. Finally, showtime comes. The curtain goes up. The actor walks onto the stage, and with great passion delivers the line, "Ah, the sweet aroma of my mistress." The theater erupts. The audience is screaming with laughter, but the director is steaming. The actor looks stunned. "You damn fool," cries the director. "You have ruined me." "What happened? I'm sure I didn't forget my line." "No," screams the director. "You forgot the rose." Bill was a clerk in a small drugstore, but he was not much of a salesman. He could never find the item the customer wanted. Dave, the owner, had had about enough and warned Bill that the next sale he missed would be his last. Just then, a man came in coughing and asked Bill for their best cough syrup. Try as he might, Bill could not find the cough syrup. Remembering Dave's warning, he sold the man a box of laxatives and told him to take it all at once. The customer did as Bill said, then walked outside and leaned against a lamppost. Dave had seen the whole thing and came over to ask Bill what had transpired. He wanted something for his cough, but I couldn't find the cough syrup. I substituted a laxative and told him to take it all at once, Bill explained. Laxatives won't cure a cough, Dave shouted angrily. Sure it will, Bill said, pointing at the man leaning on the lamppost. Look at him, he's afraid to cough. A man wakes up one morning to find a gorilla on his roof. So he looks up the yellow pages and sure enough, there's an ad for gorilla removers. He calls the number and the gorilla remover says he'll be there in 30 minutes. The gorilla remover arrives and gets out of his van. He's got a ladder, a baseball bat, a shotgun, and a huge, ferocious-looking dog. What are you going to do? The homeowner asks. I'm going to put up this ladder against the roof. Then I'm going to go up there and knock the gorilla off the roof with the bat. When the gorilla falls off, the dog is trained to grab the gorilla's testicles and squeeze. The gorilla will be subdued enough for me to lock him in the cage in the back of the van, says the gorilla remover and hands him the shotgun. What's the shotgun for? Asks the homeowner. If the gorilla knocks me off the roof, shoot the dog. 3 women who work in the same office notice that their female boss has started leaving work early every day. So one day they decide that after she leaves, they'll take off early too. After all, she never calls or comes back, so how is she to know? The brunette is thrilled to get home early. She does a little gardening, watches a movie, and then goes to bed early. The redhead is elated to be able to get in a quick workout at her health club before meeting a dinner date. The blonde is also very happy to be home early, but as she goes upstairs, she hears noises coming from her bedroom. She quietly opens the door a crack and is mortified to see her husband in bed with her boss. Ever so gently, she closes the door and creeps out of her house. The next day, the brunette and redhead talk about leaving early again, but when they ask the blonde if she wants to leave early also, she exclaims, "No way! Yesterday I almost got caught." A husband and his wife advertised for a live-in maid to cook and do the housework. They hired a lovely lass for the job. She worked out fine, was a good cook, was polite, and kept the house neat. One day, after about 6 months, she came in and said she would have to quit. "But why?" asked the disappointed wife. She hemmed and hawed and said she didn't want to say, but the wife was persistent. So finally she said, "Well, on my day off a couple of months ago, I met this good-looking fellow from over in the next county, and well, I'm pregnant." The wife said, "Look, we don't want to lose you. My husband and I don't have children, and we'll adopt your baby if you will stay." She talked to her husband. He agreed, and the maid said she would stay. The baby came. They adopted it, and all went well. After several months, though, the maid came in again and said that she would have to quit. The wife questioned her, found out that she was pregnant again, talked to her husband, and offered to adopt the baby if she would stay. She agreed, had the baby, they adopted it, and life went on as usual. In a few months, however, she again said she would have to leave. Same thing. She was pregnant. They made the same offer, she agreed, and they adopted the 3rd baby. She worked for a week or 2, but then said, "I am definitely leaving this time." "Don't tell me you're pregnant again?" asked the lady of the house. "No," she said. "I just can't handle all these damned kids."